Surely you've heard of a 5-step plan before. You've probably also heard of a 12-step plan to deal with alcoholism or other drug-related treatments. But have you ever heard of a 39-step plan? No? Well, neither have I, because that sounds absolutely dreadful. Who would want to take that many steps just to try and deal with just about anything? So don't take the 39-step plan, take this shortcut. But wait, how does that pertain to this game? You'll find out shortly. Actually, it'll take quite a while, but you'll find out. Hiya folks, Friend Doggy here, getting back into the 39 steps, and going back out to that inn, because Sanctuary of the Inn, we're trying to reboard the train to go backwards to where we were before, to take a dump. Dump crease, something like that. So, onwards? Is there an onwards thing I click on? I didn't expect to just be on the train. The occupants of the carriage were an old shepherd and his dog, a wall-eyed brute I mistrusted. The shepherd or the dog? The man was asleep, and on the cushions beside him was that morning's Scotsman. I trusted him more than the... I'm going to click on the game first. I could smell the alcohol in his breath. Well, couldn't you smell the alcohol in the other people too? And it's like, well, that's just perfectly normal and fine, huh? Really? The Scotsman, May 25th. Man, that's tiny text. I couldn't even imagine trying to... What bloody heck did he just say?
Good God.
Oh, good God. Okay. Empire Day murder shocks London. Scotland Yard's top officers have been called into action following the brutal slaying of a decorated British officer in an affluent apartment block in London near Portland Place. The killing took place during last week's Empire Day celebrations. The as-yet unnamed man was discovered in the first-floor flat on Saturday morning by its valet, a Mr. Paddock. Intriguingly, the victim was not in charge of the apartment, and the owner was not to be found. Even more intriguing is the arrest of a local milkman found whistling in the hallway of the apartment, a mere 5 minutes away from Oxford Street. Mr. Paddock sprang the alarm and had the young man arrested. Scotland Yard Commissioner Mr. McGillivray said his top officers were currently interviewing the suspect. This is one of the most horrendous murders we have had in this part of London for some time. The fact that it happened on Empire Day just makes the whole affair even more abhorrent. We will make sure that no stone is left unturned in bringing the killer to justice. Mr. Paddock had informed the police that the dead man's name was Sir Captain Digby of the 40th Gurkhas, and he had been at the apartment for 4 days. As yet, Scotland Yard has been unable to confirm the identity, because it's fake. The details of the murder are also sparse. This is the second dead body that had been found in this very apartment block in the past week. Just 6 days earlier, an American businessman, identified as a Mr. Christopher Rick, was found in his apartment having committed suicide. Neighbor Mrs. Twiston said, "This is a respectable part of the city, safe behind closed doors, at least until now. I'm all shook up. I've canceled my milk order." Can you even... holy halibut, she's upset. She canceled her milk order. McGillivray assured residents that there's nothing to be concerned about, and that there are no apparent connections between the deaths, and that the latest killing is most likely the result of a financial dispute. Interesting conclusion. And I must point out that the R's in this font look kind of weird, almost like an upside down hook or something. And then the final page. That is not... Oh, that's so small. Missing airman fear disaster to Mr. Hamel. Mr. Gustav Hamel, the well-known aviator whose intention to attempt the transatlantic flight was announced last week, was expected in London on Saturday morning in order to take part in the aerial derby competition arranged for the afternoon. He was known to have started from the aerodrome at Villa Couble at 4:30 in the morning, but he failed to put in an appearance on the English side of the channel. And as the day wore on without bringing any definite news of him, considerable anxiety on his account gradually made itself felt. Inquiries made in all directions proved fruitless, and yesterday anxiety deepened into serious alarm. Suffragette outrages. King's portrait slashed with an axe. The destruction of exhibition pictures, which has been recently a feature of the militant suffragist activity in London, was adopted in Edinburgh for the first time on Saturday when a half-length portrait of King George from the brush of Mr. John Lavery, along with a picture of the Queen, of the Royal Scottish Academy, was damaged by a woman who slashed it with an axe. In view of similar outrages of late, special precautions have been taken at the Academy with the object of frustrating any attempts to destroy the paintings. But when the woman entered the building about noon, no suspicion at first was aroused, though it was remarked afterwards that she had not, as is usually done by lady visitors, given an umbrella or article of attire in the keeping of the attendant. How wildly unusual! Okay. Excuse me. Portland Place killer on the run, traveling north. New twists and turns in the case of the Portland Place murder as Scotland Yard releases its prime suspect and reveals that the true criminal has escaped the capital. Scotland Yard Commissioner Mr. McGillivray said, "We have reason to believe the killer has left London by one of the Northern Lines. We no longer have reason to suspect that the milkman is our murderer or has any connection with the killing of Captain Theophilus Digby, found dead earlier this week. Captain Digby is reported to have been on home leave and staying with a friend in an apartment near London's affluent Portland Place apartments." Chief Investigating Officer Mr. Scaife told the Times, "This was a brutal slaying of an honorable man. We urge anyone who may have been seen or heard anything on the night of the 23rd of May to come forward and make yourself known. The owner of the apartment in question, a Mr. Richard Hannay, is still missing." So they do know that the prime suspect has hit the train that is going north. Doesn't sound good for me, does it? We are approaching the station at which I got out yesterday. That sounds either like bacon sizzling or rain. The potato digging station master had been gingered up in some activity, for the west-going train was waiting to let us pass. From it descended 3 men who were asking him questions. Sitting well back in the shadow, I watched them carefully. Very carefully. The moors. All the party looked out across the moor where the white road departed. I hoped they were going to take up my tracks there. Oh, okay, that they would basically go on a wild goose chase. I suppose that they were the local police who had been stirred up by Scotland Yard and had traced me as far as this one-horse sighting. One of them had a book and took down notes. The old potato digger seemed to have turned peevish. A peevish potato digger! The child who had collected my ticket was talking volubly. That loudmouth child, gonna give my identity away. As he moved away from that station, the old shepherd began to stir. Yeah. I'm drunk. I hope that's the dog and not the old shepherd stirring.
Quiet, you! Where am I? Oh, where am I?
You're on a train, travelling east towards Dumfries, in Scotland.
Oh, that's what comes of being a teetotaler.
I expressed my surprise that in him I should have met a blue ribbon stalwart. Hey, maybe.
I'm a strong teetotaler. I took the pledge last Martinmas and I haven't touched a drop of whiskey since then.
Just bourbon and beer.
Oh, I was so tempted. Oh, that swagger, he'd well in hellfire and trying looking different ways for the Sabbath.
What did it?
Here, a drink they call Brandy.
Ah! That's what I said.
Being a teetotaler, I keep it off the whiskey, but I was always nipping no idea this brandy, and I doubt I'll not be wielding for me.
Wow, that was an ugly face, huh? Sheesh! Sounds like the train broke down. My plan had been to get out at some station down the line, but the train suddenly gave me a better chance. I looked out and saw that every carriage window was closed and no human figure appeared in the landscape. Is he gonna kick the dog again? So I dropped quickly from the carriage. It would have been alright but for that infernal dog! Kick him again, Chipper! Kick him again!
He's jumped. He's jumped to his death.
I could not have made a more public departure if I had left with a bugler and a brass band. Happily, the drunken shepherd provided a diversion. He and his dog, which was attached by a rope to his waist, suddenly cascaded out of the carriage. The drunk is jumping to his death! Really? No, you don't say, he needs help. They had forgotten me. Any other game, that would be such a despondent thing to say. I looked back, but there was nothing in the landscape. So much nothing. See these green hills and trees? Nothing! For the first time, I felt the terror of the hunted on me. I think when you were running at the very beginning, you were kind of freaked out. It was not the police that I thought of, but the other folk who knew that I knew Scudder's secret and dared not let me live. I was certain... Oh, excuse me. That felt better. I was certain that they would pursue me with a keenness and vigilance unknown to the British law. Wow, casting shade on the British law, Scotland Yard, and that once their grip closed me, I should find no mercy. The mood did not leave me until I had reached the rim of mountain and flung myself panting on a ridge high above the young waters of the river. Purple Mountain's majesty. Even though it's not America, I have eyes like a hawk, but I could see nothing moving in the whole countryside. Again, nothing but nothing. Then I looked into the blue May sky, and there I saw that which set my pulses racing. A kamikaze pilot! I was certain, as if I had been told that that airplane was looking for me, and that it did not belong to the police. These heather hills were no sort of covering by enemies were in the sky, and I must find a different kind of sanctuary. I kept onwards. Right again, I worked for a plane when I did nothing. About 6 in the evening, I came out of the moorland and came to the Lessland. Oh. Now I've come to the Lessland. Wait, I thought you just said I came from the Scottish, left the moors. Peat smoke and savory roast floated from the house. Bridge? Ah, bridge. As when a griffin through the wilderness with winged step, over hill and moory dale pursues the arm of Spien.
Through the wilderness with winged step. As when a Griffin through the wilderness with winged step o'er hill and moory dale pursues the Aramaz. Aramaspi.
Why did it do the voice acting there? That was a weird and annoying timing.